What's up, guys? Welcome back or welcome to Sunday Sports Club podcast with Allison Kuch, a podcast all about sports told by a woman, and that woman is me. Hi, guys. I'm your host, Allison Kuch, obviously. Today is a very, very exciting episode because we get to deep dive into my husband, Isaac Rochell's entire NFL career because he has a special announcement.
I'm retiring. I am super happy to be done. I had a great career. It was actually really fun. I feel like we maximized it in every single way. I personally maximized it in every single way on the field. And I just feel really accomplished when it comes to football. So now I'm excited to be done. 7 years.
Oh my God. I'm getting teary-eyed. We tried recording this episode once before, and I later started crying in the beginning. I think I'm just so incredibly proud because the average career in the NFL is 2.5 years, and so many guys don't even make it to that. So 7 years is fucking insane and something to be so proud of. So I'm not only proud of my husband, but also in addition to that, all of our memories over the past 10 years of our entire relationship, football has been at the heart of. There's been so many ups, so many downs, and our life has truly revolved around the sport of football. I mean, I literally have a podcast about it all now, and just when I look back, I'm so proud and I'm so thankful for all of the memories that the NFL gave us, and also just getting to watch you follow your dream of being in the NFL.
It is a huge accomplishment. I mean, here's the deal. I was a seventh rounder. A lot of seventh rounders meet that 2.5 year average or less, or
I was
going to
say
team.
A lot of seventh rounders do not play 7 years in the NFL.
Yeah. So not only did I play 7 years, I contributed. I was a part of 2018 when the Chargers went to the playoffs. I was essentially starting. So
Yeah.
I was really fortunate, and that's why I say I maximized my time.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing to me is that I didn't really have a social media platform in the heart of your career.
You had less than 1,000 followers in the heart of my career.
The entire time, the most stable part of your career, of course, I didn't have social media. So I'm really excited to talk about your career because I feel like so many people, more specifically, a lot of men, I feel have a lot of they talk a lot about your career, and everybody has an opinion when it comes to your career. But 7 years in the NFL, you've literally started entire seasons almost.
Yeah. I started last year. My
led teams in tackles. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Also, if you guys see me checking my watch, we do have a babysitter right now. So I just I have to check. She's sending pictures of Scotty, which is it's kind of a little transition point. It has been nice. I didn't play this last season, and it's been really nice to be present with Scotty. I don't know. I don't think it would have been possible. Obviously, families do it all the time. Single moms do it, but it would have been a lot. Yeah. And I'm just so thankful that I was able to be home. That being said, I would have left.
You would have left us.
I would have left happily. Sure. But yeah, no, It was a nice run.
Yeah. So obviously in today's episode, we're going to kind of touch on Isaac's career and go through his entire career. We're going to talk about some stuff that we haven't been able to talk about because when your husband is still trying to play actively for teams, I feel you kind of have there's things that you shouldn't not say.
There's a lot you shouldn't say.
Yeah. And not in a negative way. We're not here to give tea on the NFL because we love the NFL as an organization and so many people in it.
The NFL is great.
Yeah.
The teams are great. It's just there's personalities that don't clash. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit of tea that I want to spill though because it is my story.
Yeah, for sure.
That I haven't been able to share. Another thing I want to say back to the social media piece and you not having followers during my prime, it kind of worked out because it was. I don't know that it would have been distracting, but social media created such a second job for us that it was okay if I got released.
The NFL started to be go in the back seat.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so it was the ebbs and flows and the flow of our careers worked out very well.
I would not change a fucking thing about your NFL career, about social media, about when we started a family. I literally would not change a single thing. And so once we go over Isaac's career and all of that, we'll kind of talk about the decision of how Isaac came to retire from the NFL, because I think a lot of people would be interested to know like the conversations we had leading up to you officially retiring, when you decided to officially retire, and
or mentally retire, like to mentally be like, yeah, I'm
and
done.
then we'll also answer some questions at the end, like what is next for us, like what does this look like moving forward, because everybody, when Isaac was playing, would ask like, oh, when your husband is done with the NFL, like what is he going to do? Is he going to get a job? Is he going to be working a 9 to 5? So we'll kind of touch on all of it. And then in 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, we'll have a Q&A episode in our brand new home.
Oh my God.
So
Every time we reference the new home, I just literally, I can't wait. All right, well, Allie's running the show here.
I'm running the show. You are a guest here. So Isaac Rochell, welcome to Sunday Sports Club podcast. You have been playing football essentially your entire life.
Yep. Well, kind of. Yeah, I started in 6th grade, but I was awful.
Something a lot of people don't really think about when these NFL players retire is that it's actually a huge identity shift, because some of these players have been playing football since they were 5, 6, 7. That's your entire life. I mean, it's our entire relationship. So let's take it all the way back. You started playing football when you were how old?
6th grade, Clayton County Wildcats.
And did you instantly love it? Was it love at first sight, just like with me?
No, I was really like, I was getting pummeled. Like, it was bad. So when I first started, I wanted to play because my brother was playing, and like it was like one of those things where it sounded better than it actually was. So then I'd get to practice, got destroyed. I remember doing Oklahoma drills. You guys don't know what that is. I was getting tore up. I would cry before practice, and my dad just literally, it was the one piece of his like parenting that was intense. He would not let us quit. So I just literally had to go to practice every day crying and couldn't quit.
Okay, and then you slowly fell in love? Like,
yeah, so then
after a few dates?
Yeah, a few dates. Well, no, I really switched to a private school where everybody was a lot worse at football. And I feel like, and I'm joking, but I feel like when I switched and I was playing middle school football for a small private school, I was bigger than people, and it let me kind of like develop into my own.
Yeah.
Then I ended up just becoming, from that point on, I was like really good. I got my first offer sophomore year of high school. Like,
Boston College.
Yeah, BC, come on. But I like became really, really good. Ended up being like top recruit in the nation.
Okay, so then you love football. You win state championship.
This is funny because these notes. Yeah,
I didn't even look at notes. Isaac, we're literally we're married. I know you.
No, but it's funny. It's giving like your prep.
Well, it's funny because my producer writes down like things to talk about. Shout out to Annie, love Annie. And it's funny because like she's doing background information on like my husband.
But it's funny because you watch podcasts with couples and sometimes it's like, do they even talk? We've talked about this stuff. Won a state championship.
People were really worried, Isaac.
I know. It was funny though, we won't deep dive in it, but my senior year, I was already committed to Notre Dame before like the season started because I wanted to just have a focused senior year. And like we would play teams, and everybody would be like, "Okay, Notre Dame, Mr. Notre Dame sucks." Like they'd be like, "It's funny," but yeah, we won a state championship. We were really good.
Did anybody in your entire career ever make fun of the TikTok thing on the field?
Yeah, the Raiders. I'm legitimately sweating right now.
Are you nervous?
I don't know why I'm sweating. Hopefully, it doesn't show up on camera. Let me sit up and.
I was like, it's kind of hot. Like you like work out. We get it. Wait, that's funny. People reference TikTok while on the field.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
TikTok boy.
I like know exactly who it was. Like, he's actually a great guy. No, some dudes would come up to me after games and be like, "Bro, like, put me on." Like, there's.
Can you repost my day in the life?
Yeah, there'd be people. Not me doing the big boy. Get some air in there. No, people would literally make fun of me, then come up to me and be like, "Nah, dude, it's all love. Like, put me on though. Like, I'm gonna hit you up in the off season." But yeah, people made fun of me.
Okay, so you commit to Notre Dame. You end up going to Notre Dame for football. Was it instantly like you starting? Like college football, I feel like is so unique. Right now, it's so different from what it was because like the NCAA rules have totally switched. And
yeah, I would have gotten paid
NIL and all of that. But okay, so you had a very successful college career because you end up starting. You became a captain.
So when I got to Notre Dame, by the way, I had offers from everywhere. Like I could have went anywhere, and I say that humbly. I literally could have went to any school I wanted to.
He's like a big deal.
Chose Notre Dame. Everybody in SEC country was like, what are you doing? But I got up there, and it definitely was like a huge shift. Like, I definitely struggled my first training camp.
Yeah.
And felt like a fish out of water. I remember looking through like old Facebook messages because that's how recruiting went and wanted to transfer. Like I didn't want to be at Notre Dame. And it wasn't until my next year, still wasn't starting, but I started to like feel like I was competing with the person in front of me. Ended up that guy was starting, but then he got kicked out of the school. So then I remember the coach.
Bye.
A coach came up to me and he goes, "Congrats, you're the starting defensive end for the University of Notre Dame." And I was at like a random training camp practice, and I was like, okay, I'm starting. And then the rest is history. Was a captain my senior year. Ended up having my best year in college was my junior year. But
when you look back on your career, do you not like go back to Notre Dame and you're like, holy shit, so much has happened since then?
Yeah, well, first off, I look back to Notre Dame and I'm like, it's like playing in the NFL. And again, I don't know why I'm sweating. If this starts to look like nasty,
it's okay.
Let me know. But like I look back at Notre Dame and I'm like, wow, that was like a really big deal to go to Notre Dame. But I feel like when I was in it, I was getting recruited by everybody. It was just like part of the journey. But like I'm like, dang, Notre Dame. Like I went to the University of Notre Dame and played ball. But yeah, a lot has changed since then. Different ball player, different person.
And so like how did Notre Dame prepare you for the NFL then?
I think just the magnitude of it. I was also a captain. And I think like from like a leader, I feel like I'm in like interviews, like pre-draft interviews, where like the scouts are like, "How did Notre Dame prepare you for this?"
Do you always hook up with people that interview you?
Do you have children? No, it was just like Notre Dame's like a big deal. Like when you have media days at Notre Dame, you have more people interviewing you than you have in the NFL. Like Notre Dame is massive.
Yeah.
The stage. A lot of times you might be having more people watch a Notre Dame football
Notre Dame
game
like reminds me of like SEC schools like Alabama, like Ole Miss, just because of the magnitude of like the fan base, the culture around Notre Dame. Like I truly feel like it's a Southern school because of how much people love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's big.
Yeah.
So it definitely prepared me for a million different reasons, but one was just like the magnitude. Like I was built for this.
And how old were you when you graduated college?
22.
Okay.
I think, right?
I think so. So
yeah, 22.
So you graduate Notre Dame at 22. You leave to go and train for the NFL draft. We can come out with an entire NFL draft experience episode when the draft comes out in April. Okay?
It's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, we should actually go to the NFL draft and do some interviews.
Or like Ian.
But that's funny. So you end up getting drafted 7th round.
Right.
You're 22 years old.
Do you know what pick I was?
252.
225, Allie. BFFR.
Am I dyslexic? Because those are the same numbers.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
So you end up getting drafted. The draft process was really interesting to say the least.
Quick synopsis. Thought I was going to go a lot higher than I did and ended up falling to the 7th round.
The NFL draft, nobody prepares you for, which is why I think we can have an entire episode dedicated towards it.
Well, yeah, it was a lot.
But so then you're 22 years old. You get a call from Tom Telesco. Love the Telesco family. You get a call. You come out to California. They were still the San Diego Chargers at this point.
Yeah.
So you do NFL training camp. What is the first day of an NFL practice like when you're 22 years old and you're going up against men that have like 10 kids? Phillip Rivers, literally 10 kids.
Yeah, I just remember being at
like you're going up against men that have children when you are a child.
Yeah, keep in mind, like, I'm on a $500,000 contract. Like, you're getting paid. So, like, there's people spending money on you. They're evaluating you. And I just remember getting yelled at. Like, the first one-on-one drill, like, my coach, who I love, Gibbs Smith,
what a humble
he's a great
beginning.
guy. I mean, he's like, you're in the NFL now. Like, I mean, I just wasn't. It's like when I transitioned into college. Like, I had to learn. Like, I was, the pudgy Notre Dame boy and didn't know how to pass rush, didn't know how to be a pro. I hated hated my rookie training camp. Like, literally, I remember not spending any money from my signing bonus. Like, mentally being like, I am bookmarking all this money because if I retire right now, I'm paying back my signing bonus and wiping my hands clean and being done with the NFL. Like, I hated it.
Wow.
Yeah. I just remember being like with some of my homies, like, and all of us hated it. We were like, this is trash. But I ended up developing super fast and loving the NFL, obviously. But that was a tough time.
For a quick second, can you just compare the player you were the first day of NFL training camp to your last game as a Raider? Like, how different of a player were you? Did you like get better over the years? Did you quickly develop? Like, what's the differentiation?
You're just like, it's actually a really good question.
Yeah, thanks. I literally have a fucking podcast. Have you heard of it? Sunday Source Club?
Yeah. It's like you're just efficient. And that's like the perfect word because like you're efficient in the way you think. Like, I'm gonna dominate today. When it's your first day, you're like your mind's all over the place. Mm-hmm. You're efficient in the way that you move with your hands. All these like very specific things that are required to be a good D lineman in the NFL. Like, it's muscle memory. 7 years of doing it, 7 years of coaches yelling at you, like it's just totally different and just so much more confident.
Players develop while they're in the NFL. Like, they are continuously getting better.
Absolutely.
It's just so interesting to think that the player that you were when you were freshly drafted, you would have bulldozed now 7 years later.
Bulldozed. Yeah. I think I was good. I was definitely good. Mm-hmm. Like, I was a solid player. I go back, watch my the preseason film for my rookie year. I watched it last year. Like, it's great film. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm so much better. It's funny, though, because my 6th year in the NFL, when I was with the Browns, my coach, who loved me, he was like, I'm such a big fan of you. Like, it's very rare for players to be in their 6th year and they're still getting better. He's like, I feel like you got so much better during training camp.
Wow.
And it's such an asset. Like, you were already playing well. And it is, you have to keep getting better. When you stop getting better, teams are like, all right, bro, you're done.
Yeah,
I guess that's what happened. No, I don't know. Well, we can get into why I'm not playing. But.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, as the whole, how do you look at your experience on the Los Angeles Chargers? Because from my perspective, I feel like I have to touch on my perspective a little bit. Like, I was still in college when you got drafted to the NFL, and
you felt so cool.
Yes,
felt so cool.
Absolutely.
You can go back and look at pictures. You can feel it.
I was like, hey, can I take my finals early? Like, I need to go and watch my boyfriend get drafted to the NFL, and like. It was so cool. Like, and that's why I get emotional over you retiring, not because I'm sad that you're retiring and like, fuck, like football's everything, but I get emotional because there are so many incredible memories that I'm thankful for the NFL, and like your entire NFL career, I feel like I was a part of, and it's been so fun. Like, we started dating right when you got drafted.
It's crazy.
Well, no, we started dating before you got drafted,
years.
but
we went through a break.
But like,
we came back. You re-entered the chat right when I was.
Yeah. You released me, and then no, I'm kidding. But it is crazy because our relationship kind of grew as your career continued on. And the Los Angeles Chargers, I look back and everyone asks me, what is your favorite team? And I have to say the Los Angeles Chargers, not only because like...
It's not even close.
Like, not only because of it was quote unquote some of your prime years. Like, you led the team in tackles. Like, you had a game-winning interception.
These are stats that are leading the team in tackles. We're stretching, but we'll take
Joey
it.
Bosa's like, wait, what are you talking about?
No, like, I literally didn't, but...
No, but you were up... I mean, you were competitively in the running.
I mean, I had 6.5 sacks my
exactly
second year. Like, that's pretty good.
That's a really good stat. And we hate stats on this podcast, and like, I will talk about that stat.
This is a juicy stat. If I would have been a free agent that year, and let's say you're in today's world, like 6.5 sacks, I probably would have signed a 2 for $20 million contract.
Insane.
Like, maybe a 1 for like 8. Mm-hmm. Either way.
So when I look back at the Chargers, I'm so thankful because not only was it like some of the best years of your career and it was so stable, everybody you got drafted with stayed the entire 4 years, which is so fucking rare. Like,
well, certain teams in the NFL, when they draft guys, they stick with them. Chargers were just a team that, like, They drafted our class
Yeah.
and they were going to rock with us.
But you also hit the Chargers at such a great point because you stayed with the same head coach for all 4 years,
Anthony
the
Lynn,
same
love him.
GM all 4 years. I feel like it was a very stable team the entire time you were with the Chargers, which also goes into play you staying there for 4 years.
My second year,
Mm-hmm.
2018, they didn't draft another defensive end. They didn't sign another defensive end. So we went into OTAs and it was just like, okay, it's Joey Bosa, you, and it was pretty much it.
You're like, this is great.
It was honestly really great too because I got more reps and got a lot better. But yeah, my second year was great, and I love the organization. It was just like a perfect situation, and the girls were great.
Oh my gosh. When I think of the NFL and people are like, oh, is there drama in the NFL wives group? Is there cliques? All of that. The time you were with the Los Angeles Chargers, it genuinely felt like the biggest family.
It felt like college, honestly. Like, you know how like after games you go out in college? Like, it was like that. Where we'd finish games and go out.
Yeah. It's just so crazy to think about because we went out to bars together. We spent holidays together. Like when one of your teammates had a baby, we went to the hospital to like hold the baby. And all of these great memories, that's where I get emotional over the whole NFL journey is that there were so many ups and so many downs. But the Chargers, I can genuinely say, like we were riding on such a high, especially after college. Like the group of girls, like I still talk to. It truly feels like it was a family, which is crazy because the Los Angeles Chargers are owned by a family.
No, it's super family run.
And I mean, I have to ask you this question. Like, do you think teams do better when the team is close? Like the players, the organization?
For sure.
You think they would do better?
Yeah, but generally good teams are closer. Like your bad teams are like kind of like, dismembered. But so for the Chargers, I played there 4 years, and it was 4 very stable years. Like I was never training camp ending, and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to make the team? Like we were celebrating at the end of training camp. We were hosting the parties that are like.
No, you know what's crazy is that every year on NFL Cut Day, when I've had a social media platform, so that started back when you were with the Colts. The Indianapolis Colts was the first year that you even told me what NFL Cut Day really was, like, and how cutthroat.
I'm about to get released.
Like how cutthroat it actually was. It's crazy because when we were with the Los Angeles, I say we, sorry, people are gonna.
You were though. I mean, you literally.
I was like, people are gonna hate me saying that, but when you were a Los Angeles Charger, we were the people hosting the Cut Day parties because that's how, like, not worried we were. We were like
just confident.
We were confident. We knew that like some of our friends were always kind of like on the chopping block, but like
no, our friends though that we had established had been there the whole time, so we were just kind of chilling and like I don't know. It was the glory days. So
glory. I'm like everybody is gonna get sick of me talking about the Chargers because they're like we get it. Like the Spanos family, like it's just it's great. We love them.
Basically, as a 7th rounder, you sign a 4-year deal. I completed my full 4-year deal with the Chargers. By the way, that is super rare for anybody who's a rookie to complete their full 4-year deal with one team is crazy.
And as a 7th rounder, even more rare.
Like, I'm not joking. That is probably like 1% of 7th rounders. Like, and I'm not exaggerating.
Like how many? What percentage of 7th rounders go to start in games their second year?
Again, very, very. One.
I'm here to gas you up, Isaac, because your career is insane.
The percentage of guys, I started the first game of my second year. A lot of things had to happen for that to happen, but I mean, you're talking like probably less than 1% of 7th rounders that happens to.
In hindsight, do you think that there is luck when it comes to having a long career in the NFL?
For sure. You have to be in the right place at the right time. I could have got drafted somewhere else. Like, I didn't mess. We'll get into the Colts. I didn't mess with my D-line coach. What if he was my first coach?
Yeah.
And he's like, because I wasn't good that first training. Like, I had to come along, and I had a coach that was really bought into me, and I need to text him because, seriously, it mattered having him as a coach.
Do you think there are players in the NFL right now that fans are probably like, oh, my God, he fucking sucks, like, get him off our team, that maybe just haven't gotten the opportunity that you had?
For sure. I'm telling you.
Is that not frustrating? Like hearing all these fans say this person sucks, this person's not good enough. Like, do you actually know?
Yeah, they don't. it's so difficult. Well, here's the complicated piece. There are players in the NFL that are not good. Like, not everybody. They're relatively speaking, they're good, but like there's guys that shouldn't be there.
There's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics. But either way, without getting off on a tangent, I finished my full commitment to the Chargers. And at that time, so it's free agency or going into the offseason after my 4th year. They switched coaches. They hired Brandon Staley, and I was a free agent. And they were switching defenses from a 4-3 to a 3-4. We don't need to get into that. But I'm less of a fit to a 3-4. So the GM, Tom Telesco, called me. And this is after I had long conversations with Brandon Staley. I talked to Brandon Staley for probably accumulation of an hour, like just chatting. Because keep in mind, the year before, like I was a captain during one of those games. I was I was the player rep. I was the NFLPA player rep. Like I was very respected on the team. So like he was going to take my call. And Tom Telesco called me and he's like, look, I don't want you to get to training camp and we figure out you're not a fit for this team and this defense. So, like, I just feel like it's better for us to not re-sign you. So, ended up going into free agency and signing with the Colts.
Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and let's be real, finding the perfect gift can feel a little bit overwhelming, but not this year because I'm here to help you, and so is Macy's. They've made it so easy with their Valentine's Day gift guide. They've handpicked the best gifts for everyone on your list, taking out all the guesswork. So let's browse through some of my favorite gifts to get from Macy's, and maybe it'll spark some inspiration for you. I feel like Valentine's Day is a little bit different from like the holidays or your birthday, because I feel like Valentine's Day is truly a time where you can be thoughtful and like really think like, okay, what does my significant other want? And if I'm speaking what your man needs to hear, feel free to send him this ad, okay? So I was browsing through the Macy's website and they have a lot of options. So we're already looking good. Now, whether you're looking for something romantic or fun, they kind of have everything. So some of my favorites, if you guys have never tried the Carolina Herrera Good Girl Liquid Blush, it's gorgeous. It's luxe. It also like goes on seamlessly. That's a really great gift. And also like if you like to play with new makeup, highly recommend. Or some UGG slippers. If you didn't get any for the holidays, you haven't gotten any for your birthday, like UGG slippers are such a great gift to give because they're perfect for cozy nights in. And I feel like this also plays into the Valentine's Day theme, right? Like cozy night in, maybe you're watching a movie. Not everybody needs to go out to dinner on Valentine's Day. I like to spend Valentine's Day at home, which is funny because Macy's has a lot of stuff for your home as well, like home decor and blankets and plush pillows. Literally, they have everything. On a different note, if you're thinking a little bit something bigger and you know your significant other likes coffee, the Breville espresso machine, any coffee lover in your life is going to like that. There's also the Beats headphones, anybody who's into music or podcasts. Like, guys, the list goes on. And again, Macy's makes it so easy because it's all in one place. So, head over to Macy's, take a gander, go up and down the aisles, strike up a conversation. If you don't have someone this Valentine's Day, maybe you and going and buying a gift for your mom might turn into something else. No, but Macy's does truly have something for everyone and every budget. And you can make this Valentine's Day extra special for your loved ones. So be sure to head to Macy's.com/gift guide to shop now and find the perfect gift. Trust me, you're going to love how easy they make it. When it comes to New Year's resolutions, I feel like every year I have something about fitness or body or something in like the health aspect for my resolutions. And you know what I decided to do this year? I decided to take a look at my husband's health and wellness routine and see what he's doing that I'm missing. And something that he really emphasizes is using really good products in terms of like vitamins, minerals, protein, creatine, all of that, which is why I'm so excited to have discovered Momentous. So if you're really trying to build the momentum, let me talk to you about Momentous. So when it comes to living better, longer, quality is not an option. It's kind of essential. And that's where Momentous stands out. So what sets Momentous aside from so many other brands is that they don't just deliver supplements, they deliver science-backed results. Every product is NSF certified, which means it's rigorously tested for heavy metals, harmful additives, and label accuracy, and no shortcuts because it's trusted by all 32 NFL teams and top collegiate sports programs. So you can rest assured, it's a good product, it's good for you, and it's rigorously tested, which is something I love. I recently just started incorporating their protein into my everyday workout routine. Right when I leave the gym, I come home, I make myself a protein smoothie. I may or may not give Scotty a sip here or two. And everybody in the whole family truly loves Momentous. Momentous focuses on the essentials like protein, creatine, and they do it better than anyone else. Their creatine is sourced from Creapure, which is the purest form available. And it's the ultimate tool for peak physical and cognitive performance, whether you're hitting the gym, the field, or you just literally want to feel your best, because I know I do. So if you're ready to invest in yourself this year, head over to livemomentous.com and use code Sunday to get 20% off your first order. That's livemomentous.com, code Sunday. So start living on purpose today with Momentous. Free agency, I feel like it's two different perspectives. You're either a highly sought out after player, or you're a player that might kind of just wait to get signed. You might get signed before OTAs or after OTAs or around training camp.
I was highly sought after.
Yes.
Not I wasn't a big contract guy, but I was definitely a guy that I was on their radar.
You weren't getting a minimum contract.
No.
So kind of talk a little bit about that free agency.
Yeah. So
did you want to stay with the Chargers? Did you want to sign with a different team?
I didn't want to stay with the Chargers. I was ready for a change because I knew I was a good player and I wanted to go start somewhere. I wanted to make some money. I want to go somewhere and do my thing. So
do your thing. Okay.
Ended up going to free agency. There were a few teams that were talking. I remember the Steelers. It's the only team that I can really remember that was.
It's crazy because now you can actually name teams.
Yeah, the Steelers were kind of calling. And then the Colts, we were in the yoga class, and my agent called me and said, hey, the Colts are sending you an offer. I signed an offer that was up to $3.5 million. So I had incentives. So I didn't see $3.5 million. Would have been nice. But for me, it was my best offer. It was the very beginning of free agency. I signed, and
we bought a house.
I will say, I think it was one of the biggest mistakes in my career to go to the Colts. Not because it's the Colts, just because that environment was awful for me. It really derailed my career, which we can talk about. But that's how the free agency went. We had a few million reasons to go there, though.
It is so interesting. So you think your career might have looked way different had you signed with a different team?
For sure. I was so primed. I remember that offseason going into my 5th year with the Colts. I was my body was perfect. I felt great. I was so ready to dominate. Took everything so seriously. You remember how I was a psychopath. I ate perfect. I worked out twice a day.
We were in a hot yoga class when you got the call. Yeah, I do remember. It was we also had gotten married during that off season. Yeah, during that off season. So we
Just
were
eliminated variables.
We were eating heads of lettuce and ground beef and working out 10 times a day. We were ready for our wedding. And then also it was oh wow, this is Isaac's first big contract. We're heading to a different team, a different place. And we were excited.
Yeah. And it mattered. For me, I was I'm on a 1-year deal. I'm going to make good money. I remember people would be congrats on your contract. And I'd be this is a joke compared to what's coming. Because I was manifesting. I was so in the zone.
Then what happened?
Then, honestly, I don't want to be that guy who's just my coach. But, I didn't vibe with my coach. I just didn't. Mm-hmm. Which is so rare. I was such a personality guy in locker rooms and, on D-lines. So, for me to go in this room and not vibe with my D-line coach, it's rare. He did not like me. I don't care what anybody says. This is a guy who, so in the NFL, if you're a guy like me, very cerebral, very what people would consider is like smart, well-spoken, put together, Notre Dame guy, like on social media. At this point, like social media had started to come into play. Some coaches don't like that. Like it just is what it is. They think that's like a distraction, or like you're not tough enough, you're not mean enough, you talk a certain way, so like you're not whatever. And like he was definitely like that. And I think I just immediately rubbed him the wrong way, because when I went into that season, I was approaching it with a level of seriousness. So if I'm meeting with him, I'm like, hey, I'm talking like this, like, hey, I want to understand your defense. Can we go through this? Like, why are you making this call when you make it? What do you need from me to be the best player that I can be for you?
Right.
That's not what he wants. He wants somebody who's like, man, I'm a dog. Like, man, you put anybody in front of me. Like that's what he wants.
Like he didn't want somebody analytical. He just wanted somebody to like go and ball out.
No, and I'm like, just because I don't talk a certain way or act a certain way doesn't mean I'm not dominant and tough. Like I take pride in that.
What's so interesting to me is that this is the first team you're on after the Chargers. It's the first team you're on when you have a big contract, and a bit bigger than just like a minimum contract.
No, it's a lot of money.
And I feel like if you're not on a minimum contract, I feel like you're a little bit more respected, or people might take you a little bit more seriously.
Didn't.
I'm saying that's like not a good, like, that's not right, but it's just what happens in the NFL. I feel like there's a lot of politics when it comes to it. And so when Isaac was worried about getting cut on that cut day, I was like, oh, like what?
I had guaranteed
I was like,
money,
wait, I thought we
though.
were supposed to be chilling this year.
I kind of wanted to get released though, because I really didn't
think it would've-
like this guy.
It's interesting now looking back, because that was the first time since your rookie year, your first year as a Charger, that you had been inactive for a game, which is when you're inactive for a game, you're technically still on the active roster, but you're not dressing. So you're not in uniform. You're literally in the sidelines in your Juicy Couture tracksuit. Your ass is looking good. No, I'm kidding. But it is so interesting because you were inactive, and it's like, if you're a good enough player to get this bigger contract, then why are you not on the field?
It's crazy. Well, you can do the math. I was making that much over 17 games. Like I was making a lot of money to sit on the sideline.
Yeah.
But real quick, I just would have been better off taking literally a minimum deal, going to a team that really wanted me there and needed me at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what happens is when you sign a contract like that's not minimum, and then you don't play and you're inactive and all these, and you don't have the year that people think you're going to have, then it changes the dynamic for everything. So then you enter free agency the next year, and it's like, well, why didn't he play as much when he signed this contract? Yeah. Was he a bust? Is he declining? Is he not the player they thought he was? None of that stuff was true for me at all.
I feel like after the Indianapolis Colts, you were constantly trying to prove yourself.
Constantly trying to prove myself.
This is also not like woe is me. I feel like I feel like we're both realistic people that we can genuinely take a step back from your career and be like, yeah, like that was really, like that sucked.
No, we're being very realistic. Realistic is saying, hey, I wanted to switch from the Chargers because I knew I wasn't going to start in front of Bosa. Like, yeah, that's realistic. I'm not a better player than Bosa. But so like I'm entering free agency, and I'm like, I mean, it starts like March 16th. I didn't get signed till middle of April. And we're just like, okay, now I'm going into a team that I'm gonna have to like not prove myself, but like prove that I'm not bad is essentially what's happening. Yeah. So I ended up signing with the Browns, and I'll say this. I love playing for the Browns. The organization.
That was so much fun.
It was great. I loved my D-line coach. I loved that team. I like Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, a ton. The Joe Woods, defensive coordinator, great. The owner, not ownership, but like the GM. I mean, like I got released by him. Like that was a weird situation, but like I really loved playing for the Browns.
Your first few years in the NFL, I feel like everybody made fun of going to two different teams, and that was Wisconsin and Cleveland.
Yeah.
And maybe
Cleveland was unreal.
Maybe it's because the two areas were cold. Oh, and people like said the Bills. Yeah. But over your time in the NFL, I was like, wait, I want to be a part of the Bills Mafia, which never got to.
Still do.
So then when you signed to Cleveland, the team's colors are orange and brown. They culturally or like in the past, not culturally, but like in the past, they just had not done very well. It was
I mean, they were 0-16 in 2017.
so
they were.
So when Isaac told me that he had interest from the Cleveland Browns, I was like, oh, okay. I literally told one of my best friends and recorded her reaction. She was like, the fuck? Like, it was just like, it was funny.
It was great. It was great.
I genuinely have to say, Cleveland was one of my favorite fucking teams.
It was just fun.
It was so much fun. The area we lived in, good friend group, like really amazing girls, and I really did fall in love with the city of Cleveland. I'm like, wait, okay, I am drinking the Kool-Aid, and I was wearing orange. I was wearing orange nonstop, and it's crazy because. That was
also your social media career was.
Oh yeah,
it was like skyrocketing.
Yeah,
that's where it really like.
Oh my God, the Cleveland Browns is the team I accidentally announced that you were going to the Browns before you even signed,
and it mattered.
I was on TikTok Live, and the way that I accidentally slipped that Isaac was signing with the Cleveland Browns, and I go,
there were news stations that had come out with. It was crazy, but Cleveland, and this is why the Colts situation was so frustrating, because we'll get into the Raiders too. Every other team was really fun to be a part of.
Totally.
That was the only one that was like, dang.
Well, I do have to say, the Colts, like, organization, the women there, like, I have nothing negative.
I actually love the Ursays.
Like, I have nothing negative to say about the Colts organization. I just think it was a really unfortunate
coach.
It was, yeah, like you came home every single day from the facility when you were an Indianapolis Colt saying like, I want to leave. Like, I don't like it here. Like, I hate it. And I'm just at home like, oh, okay. So I'm supposed to like make friends and like make this a home. Like, this feels weird.
We could have a 5-hour podcast on all the dynamics, because that was tough for our relationship. I mean, we were just in that house, which we love, but it's like, I'm coming home every day miserable.
And I didn't have a ton of friends. Like, towards the end of the season, I made more friends. We still talk to.
It got good at the very end of the season.
But I do have to say, I did have to go back and kind of say that about the Colts, because it sounds like we were like, fuck the Colts, fuck the women,
no, I
fuck
just didn't vibe with this
coach.
I didn't vibe with one coach. Everybody else in the organization was great. Frank Wright was one of my favorite head coaches too. I loved him. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Okay, so Cleveland Browns, you go through OTAs. How is that? Like, coming off of like a big contract, going back down to minimum contract, you're like, are you proving yourself? Like, what is OTAs and like camp and all that look like? Did you expect to get released and go on practice squad? Like, what did that look like?
We'll start with OTAs. OTAs, I loved the locker room. Myles Garrett, all those guys. Like, he's just the one that everybody knows. Everybody was great. Like, it was like a great team, and the D-line coach was great. Like, I keep saying great, but he was unreal. Like, he had a great personality. He appreciated the TikTok thing. Like, it was like this perfect storm where I was like, I can be successful here. And then I got released. Went through training camp. I was performing unbelievably. This is how crazy it was. I finished the last game of training camp. The D-line coach was like, Isaac, I'm going to play you one series and sit you. You don't have to play the rest of the game. That, for people who play, that's like a telltale sign, like, you're making this team. Like, I had taken I came in that fourth string, took everybody's spot. I was rotating with Myles, which he wasn't in training camp, or he wasn't playing in those games. I started every single preseason game, and then got sat the last game because they were like, we want to rest you.
Yeah, if you get sat the last preseason game, it essentially means like you're good. Like, you don't need to prove yourself. You're like, you're good. You don't. Yeah, we don't need to see anymore.
Yeah, and so this D-line coach had already made up his mind that he was game planning for me to be playing. I was going to be a rotational guy, and then I get released.
You survived cut day, and then literally, I made a fucking video on TikTok. I said, "Oh my God, my husband won't let me buy hangers because he thinks that like it's setting down roots." And at the end of cut day, like 4 p.m. or whatever,
we were safe.
The end of cut day, I was like, oh yeah, we're safe. And I get to go buy hangers. Literally went to Target that night, got hangers for our new apartment. Next morning, Isaac gets released.
And I was...
that was the first time I ever cried on the internet.
They released me for a third string quarterback. I mean, and they gave this guy my locker. I was so... You talk about like a madman. Like, I was mad. Here's how crazy it was, though. I got released, And then I went home. You have to go home for 24 hours because you can't be in the building. Came back the first day back. I was at practice starting
On practice
squad. People don't understand how rare that is. That like doesn't happen. But like it just showed you there was such a disconnect between the GM and the coaches. Like this coach didn't even know I was going to get released. I went in and I said, "Hey, I'm getting released." He was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "I was already making the game." It's crazy.
So then when people are on social media like, "I knew your husband was going to get cut. He's not very good. He got drafted 7th round." Like, what would you say to that? Because you literally went in to practice the next day. And
just I can't talk. I
starting.
couldn't talk about it. You know, I can't be like all these people hating me like, "Hey," responding to a comment like I was starting at practice. Like, so
but
I kind of had to bite the bullet. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like super frustrating. Like,
I was going to say the craziest thing is that you not only were starting in practice, you then started in the football game on
What?
practice squad. You were playing the first game against Carolina Panthers.
I didn't start though.
Okay. But you were playing in the game while
No.
on practice squad.
I did start versus the Falcons, which was like game 4, and I was practice squad. It's the whole thing is crazy. It just doesn't happen. I mean, I remember Wyatt being like, "That's crazy you got released." Like people just were so shocked. But again, you guys have to understand what happens is think about the picture. Guy, we won't use me. Random player goes, gets drafted by a team 7th round, supersedes expectations, then signs a good contract. Well, why didn't he play on that contract? Then he goes to the Browns, and it's like, well, why did he get released again? So like the picture now is this is a declining player. He had a good couple years with the Chargers, but he's not really good. But all these things are circumstances that are, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just sitting here like, what are we doing? And again, I'm the same player. I'm getting better. So just a string of unfortunate events. But the reason that I continued playing is because I was good. 99% of players in those exact same circumstances get chewed up and spit out, and they don't make it to 7 years. I was like, okay, I'm going to find a way. This coach respects me. When I do get an opportunity, I'm going to play well. And I approached every day.
It was
with
making the most of every opportunity.
And I'm a leader.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like I'm going into the locker room and everybody's like, "Oh, this dude's a bum." Like, I'm valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching young guys. So,
and this was the first year, which I have to say, like the women with the Cleveland Browns were great. Like Carly Teller, like her husband is like one of the higher paid guys on the team, and she was so welcoming. And when you got released and put on practice squad, I will never forget. There was one girl, and I was telling her how I was planning to go to the game against the Carolina Panthers, and she goes, "Why, your man says he's on practice squad?"
Who?
No.
I would love to know who said that.
And I remember Carly was there, and Carly was like, "Yeah, he's actually playing in the game." And it was like, oh wow, people actually view me differently because my husband is on practice squad. I was like, this is so fucked. So that was like the first time that I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like I was like, it's never going to be like the Chargers again. I feel like I don't want to have to prove myself in like the WAGs community, which sounds so fucking stupid. Okay.
Imagine
like,
how I felt.
People magazine do not write an article titled like Allie had to prove herself in the WAGs community. Okay. It's just is interesting because that was the first time that I was like, oh, there are like maybe the truth about like other teams is like there might be clicks or whatever. Like, oh, your man doesn't make this much. Okay, cool. Like whatever. Which makes sense. Honestly, like if we weren't going to be there next week, I can understand why somebody wouldn't want to put in the effort to like a friendship or whatever. Okay. But there were so many other great women, and like some of our really good friends, like we lived in the same apartment complex. Like he had an interesting year with the Browns. So
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, like no, I know, but we ended up having so much fun that year, and I do feel like you ended up signing to the main roster.
Yeah,
and we had a ton of fun.
It was fun. I mean, it was like, you know, again, it was like for every team, I would sneak in starts. I would play.
Yeah.
I was starting on third down. I remember the NFL made the video when we played the Steelers. Like I was not leading the team, but we'd come out of games and it was like, oh, Isaac led the D-line in tackles. Oh, Isaac led the D-line in tackles. Oh, Isaac got released. Like it's like none of it ever made sense. Where it was like, why am I just like the black sheep? So I ended up getting released probably like week 12.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was very frustrated with the Browns organization because I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why am I getting released? And
As
then,
any other player would feel, yeah.
So again, stuff we couldn't talk about. As soon as I got released, the Raiders called my agent.
No. Oh, yeah.
So the Raiders called, the Chargers called.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers were going to sign me.
To practice squad.
And again, it's a totally different, like, people. They were going to, we were literally.
I literally have YouTube.
We have the video.
I have YouTube vlog footage of us sitting in our Cleveland apartment, and you're on the phone with your agent. We're talking about going to the Chargers. You're like, do I really want to leave this practice squad where I know I might get elevated? The second somebody has a tweak in their ankle, I'm going to get elevated.
We had our house at this point, too.
We had our house here in Orange County that is almost done being renovated. And we were like, at this point, we were like, I kind of just want to be happy and be back in California. Like,
we didn't care.
You loved the Chargers. You loved Tom Telesco. Like, there were some of your best friends were still playing for the Chargers.
The whole staff.
Yeah. So it was crazy because this is the first time that Isaac came to me and was like, what do you think I should do? Like, do you think I should stay here? Obviously, he was going to be the ultimate decision maker. Like, it's not like, oh, yeah, like, do. But this was more of like a decision. Like, Isaac was asking me, do you think that, like, would you hate moving back to Cal? Like, what do you feel?
Football-wise, it wouldn't have been the right decision, but it's okay. We were going to. Like, literally, I remember coming down from working out being like, okay, we're going to the Chargers. Like,
I was crying from being so happy, and then never mind.
Literally,
in that time frame, they went in a different direction.
My agent called and said the Chargers want to sign you. I said, okay, let's do it. He called the Chargers back, and they go, we're going a different direction. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but whatever. So, but also the Raiders had inquired and said, hey, we're trying to get you on our roster, yada, yada, yada. And then...
Which, to us, because when you get released from an NFL team, when you're no longer a rookie, like when you're a veteran, you have a few years under your belt, you then can kind of make the decision, like, Isaac would then had the capability to make the decision, do I want to stay on the Cleveland Browns practice squad or do I want to go to a different practice squad? Which going to a different practice squad is a little bit like tricky because you could go to another practice squad and then get cut from that practice squad. So
it's risky.
It's kind of, it only makes sense to go to another practice squad that like maybe you have an affiliation with the team already or like, you know, the coaching or you literally have a house there.
We just didn't care. We were like, we're going.
Also Jacksonville, weren't they in the loop too?
For preseason. That was more like a preseason thing. Okay, so either way, 4 weeks later, after this week 12 release, this whole debacle.
Like 2 weeks after Christmas.
Raiders signed me. Bang. So then literally drop everything, go play the last 2 weeks with the Raiders. It felt like it was a movie. It was so magical.
It was, oh my God, this was like peak. Like,
yeah, it was.
This was like so much fun. You signing to the Raiders and such a warm welcome from the Raiders in the city of Las Vegas. Like there were fucking billboards.
I played 2 plays in 2 weeks. So like it wasn't even stressful from a football perspective. It was just like bliss. Like it was great.
You want to know a New Year's resolution that I can actually keep? It's ditching uncomfortable bras for good. Seriously, life is too short to deal with bras that dig and pinch and like don't fit right. I feel like also in my 30s, I'm looking at things that actually matter and comfortability matters. And that's why I'm obsessed with Honey Love. They've completely changed the game for wireless bras, combining comfort, support, and style all into one. Honey Love's bras are designed for soothing fabric to prevent bulging and digging, and they offer the support of a traditional bra without the underwire. You guys, are we going to act like that underwire was ever comfortable? Trust me, once you try them, you'll never want to go back. You'll even forget you're wearing one, which is my personal favorite. The crossover bra is one of my favorites of the Honey Love bras. It's so comfortable that those rip it off the moment I get home days are kind of over. I actually like wearing it, and sometimes I forget I'm wearing it, so I wear it to bed. And it's not just bras. Honey Love also has shapewear and tanks that fit seamlessly under your outfits, giving you that smooth, confident look no matter what you're wearing. So if you're ready to glow up your wardrobe and ditch the discomfort, now is a perfect time. For a limited time, Honeylove is offering 20% off site-wide. Just go to honeylove.com/Sunday and treat yourself to the most comfortable bras and shapewear on the planet. That's honeylove.com/Sunday. Support the show and check them out because you deserve this upgrade. 2025, you guys, it is the year of new beginnings. It's a fresh start. And you know what I'm bringing into the new year with me? My Oura ring. If you guys have been following me on social media for a while, you would know I am religious about wearing my Oura ring. I used it to prevent myself from getting pregnant, and then I used it to get pregnant. I used it to look at my sleep score postpartum, which, yeah, that was a little scary. But now that I'm getting better sleep, I'm looking forward to looking at my sleep score. And I truly do love my Oura ring. If you guys don't know what Oura ring is, it is the revolutionary smart ring that delivers personalized health data, insights, and daily guidance. They have sensors on their ring, and it tracks like 30 plus biometrics, heart rate variability, skin temperature, and it all is done by just wearing a ring. You can learn how to improve sleep, manage stress, understand heart health. Like, it literally does it all. Oura Ring empowers women to better understand their bodies too, so that they can be their own health advocate, which I personally love. So the Oura Ring works with the Natural Cycles app, and it detects your temperature, which can predict ovulation. I do recommend following the Oura Ring rules of like wearing it for a few months before you actually let it work. But when I tell you it works because I didn't get pregnant. And then when I wanted to get, well, you know what I mean. The Natural Cycles and Oura Ring 4 are synced in a partnership, and it allows you to take control of your fertility effortlessly because it's all integrated together. It's going to provide continuous, precise data on sleep, temperature, vital stats, syncing daily with Natural Cycles for insightful fertility tracking. I also find it very useful to be able to see how my body is adjusting between all of my cycles, like the luteal phase, ovulatory, all of that. Like, I am so into it, and Oura Ring makes it really easy. You guys can commit to your body, yourself, your health this new year. So if you were looking to try out Oura Ring, I personally highly recommend it. I love my Oura Ring. So be sure to visit ouraring.com for more information. If you guys have been following along on my New Year's resolutions, you would probably know I have a lot of resolutions in the body, fitness, health category. I'm actually currently trying to train for a marathon. And something I didn't realize about training for a marathon is how sweaty you get. Like, obviously, you could expect to get sweaty, right? You're working out. But I feel like I've been actually smelling so bad. And so a resolution that I feel like is actually within reach is smelling better naked, all thanks to Lumi. If you guys have never heard of Lumi before, it's a little bit unique and different from other deodorant because it's a whole body deodorant. So it's safe to use anywhere on your body: pits, under boobs, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, feet. Like, you can use this thing anywhere. It's created by an OBGYN who saw firsthand how BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. And it's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours, which is much needed, okay? I hate to admit it. I'm kind of smelly sometimes, but Lumi is definitely there to help. All of their products are baking soda free, paraben free. It's also pH balanced, so it's also safe for below the waist if you want to use it there. They have a ton of different fresh, bright scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut. And it'll leave you smelling good instead of smelling smelly. Lumi Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So use code Sunday for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code Sunday at LUMEDEODORANT.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lumi. This offseason, you mean like I don't know if I'm gonna get signed?
Yeah, I was like, I know I'm a good player, but I'm like, the writing is on the wall. I know how this goes, and I feel like this could be a very complicated offseason.
So during offseason, if you're a free agent, you're not on a team, you might get what is called a workout. And you had workouts.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I had 2 workouts with the Falcons and Titans. I had never had a workout in my entire career because I was always signed.
Yeah.
I was never like a waiting on a workout guy. So I got my first ever call from the Falcons, and it was so crazy because was it the Titans or Falcons?
Titans were first.
No, it was no, Titans were first.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's always like, you're going to work out. They may not sign you. Like, don't plan on not getting signed because it's just a workout. I was manifesting. I packed for like 6 weeks of clothes. Like, I had 2 bags. I remember getting on the bus when they picked me up, and they're like, oh, you have a lot of luggage. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, because I'm going to be here. What do you mean? Ended up having a great workout, didn't get signed. They signed somebody else. So he was a different position to me, but still, I was super salty when I left. Mm-hmm. Then the Falcons called me to work out.
We had a really good feeling about the Falcons.
They signed a guy from the XFL, not saying he's never played, still has not played in the NFL, which is crazy. Like, they signed a guy that probably will never play. Mm-hmm. And I was battle tested. Why would you not sign me? Just to have me on the whatever. So, yeah, had 2 workouts, didn't get signed, went the entire offseason.
Entire offseason's kind of dry. So, and I'm pregnant. This is around the time where Isaac and I.
At this point, you were pregnant.
I feel like you kind of started touching on I think I'll play this year. Like, do I want to retire my own terms?
Wanted one last year.
What?
I wanted a lot. Well, either way. So we kind of had started like, whoa, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first time where we were like, okay, wow, a lot's happening. I was pregnant. We were like, where are we going to have our daughter? Like, blah, blah, blah. So Isaac has a workout with the New York Giants. Okay. The day before.
Well, keep in mind, the entire offseason had passed. So now we're in August. Training camp is starting.
Training camp
is
literally, in like 3 days.
Well, that was like a 3-day away. Yeah.
So you get a call from your agent. He says, okay, like you're gonna go to the New York Giants. If they like you, you might stay. We a workout's a workout.
Well, they were kind of saying like, we plan on signing him, but we want to work him out before because I hadn't had OTA, so they need to see, is this guy even in shape? What type of offseason did he have?
Yeah.
And at this point in the season, teams just kind of like, they need to fill a couple spots here and there, so they bring guys in.
Well, everybody goes into training camp with like a full, I think it's 90 guys.
Yeah.
Is it 90?
90, man, yeah.
So that's a lot of guys. And like, if you have a position that you're unsure of, you might have a few extra guys heading into training camp for a specific position.
Or, I mean, people report. Maybe somebody reported and you're like, oh, you pulled your hamstring 2 weeks ago? Okay, we need to bring in a defensive end, I guess.
Right.
So like, they're filling those spots.
So the day before Isaac heads to this New York Giants workout, we're at our house. We're about to start our house renovation. So we're cleaning out our house. You and Jacob Easton are in the garage. Me and Sydney are in my closet.
This is after we were planning on the Giant. Like we had.
No, yeah, you were literally had a flight
2 days away.
You had you had the flight the next day.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, Isaac goes, Allie. He has his camera out and he's like, I just got a call. Like, what team do you want me to go to the most? And I was like, Chargers. And you're like, no. Like, what team do you want me to go to the most? And I was like, I don't know. Just because in my head, it was not even an option. And Isaac goes, Las Vegas Raiders. And I was like,
the GM called me personally.
You're just like, fucking kidding. I was so excited. Vegas is a few hours away. Like, I loved the girls. I loved the community. I loved the team. I liked the city.
Another
I was like,
GM I love. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Like, fuck yeah. So you end up signing with the Raiders.
Yeah. The year before, I had an exit interview because keep in mind, I had the 2 weeks there. And he said the door is open for you to come back.
But
had never called all offseason.
So we thought for the beginning of the offseason he was going to go back to the Raiders, but then like when they didn't call, we were like, okay, I guess not.
Like, forget that.
And the coach changed, didn't it? Didn't the head coach, or not the head coach, but the defensive coach?
No, it was the same exact staff.
Oh, okay.
They got a new D-line coach, but it was the same staff.
So Isaac gets a call from the Raiders, and that was like, fuck yes.
signed
Like,
it.
we're
So
so happy. And
a day before training camp, drove out there. And this was the first time in my career that I felt like, okay, I have to earn a spot. This is truly not given. And the D-line coach didn't know me at all because they just hired him. And I was like, okay, I'm the guy that they're signing a day before training camp because they need bodies. I'm a camp body. And my back was against the wall. Fast forward through training camp, I had a great training camp, great shape. First preseason game, first play I'm in, I get a sack. Like, again, this is like the same old story against the 49ers, you know, like, ended up getting released. I mean, I had a great preseason.
oh my God. But we were expecting you to get released, I have to say.
Yeah, I would have been surprised.
I made a video that morning on NFL Cut Day, and I was like, we know Isaac's getting released because remember that one guy? There was a guy right ahead of you.
Oh, trust me, that I was better than.
But there was a guy ahead of Isaac, and we figured, okay, Isaac's probably not going to make the 53. Is he going to sign to practice squad? Because they were pretty loaded in terms of D-line.
Well, they traded for this guy. Keep in mind, I was a camp body. So they had already they had signed guys to contracts, traded for people.
And you pulled, what did you?
My adductor.
Okay.
I played one game, pulled my adductor.
So and it's crazy because you balled out the first 2 games, and the third game you went to and you couldn't play. So and Isaac's
I didn't play the second game.
Oh.
I had a good camp. I had good practices. We had joint practices against the Rams. Was great and didn't play in the last 2 games.
So then we kind of knew you were getting released. This is the funny part is that we've never been able to talk about the fact that we knew every time Isaac got released, we kind of had an idea.
Yeah, kind of. There's always hope.
Except like the Christmas, the one right before Christmas, I was not expecting that. But we kind of had an idea, okay? So even when Isaac got released, when I was about to give birth, we kind of had an idea because you were inactive the game before.
Yeah.
So when Isaac signed with the Raiders, or when he signed to practice squad, that was the first time that we toyed with the idea of maybe not staying with the Raiders for the entire football season, or like on practice squad. But the Jaguars were a team that had always been interested like the past few years of your career. And that was the first time that you were like talking to your agent about maybe testing the waters to go to a different practice squad. And that would have been the first time. It was kind of messy because I was pregnant. So what the fuck are we going to do? We're going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. We don't have a house. We're going to have to Airbnb.
Then, you could end
There's
up...
like, what is going on?
Yeah. So,
and being pregnant, definitely complicated. Do you think it played into any of our decisions?
Yeah, especially once I got released by them later in the year, later in the book. So also, I knew that if I stayed with the Raiders, I was going to play. I didn't miss a game with the Raiders. I mean, I was on practice squad the first 2 weeks, played both first 2 weeks. It's just so crazy. I remember leaving the first game of the year. We played Denver Broncos. I was on practice squad, but played. They were raving about me in the film room. This is how you do it. Watch this guy. This is how you young guys watch this.
Yeah.
And I'm on practice squad. It's like, it's crazy. So then I played well game after game.
But you know what I have to say? At least thankful you were playing. Thankful you were on practice squad playing, because there's also a scenario where you just were on practice squad and you didn't touch the field.
Yeah.
Does that not make you feel good that you were being raved about while on practice squad? Like, you have to pat yourself in the back for that one.
For sure, but it's frustrating because like I'm
Feel
happy.
Like I'm good enough that they're raving about me, but not good enough to be on the 53.
It's dumb, and it's like I'm happy that I'm retired. I really am happy to be in this next phase of life. It's going to be better than football, but like I should still be playing. Like I should realistically still be on a football field. Like I should have played 10 years. Like I was healthy, no issues. So I look back at those moments and I just get frustrated because it's like, you're really just subject to like maybe one opinion or like, I don't know. Like how does the coach sit in the film room and go, this is how you do it, young guys, watch. And then the GM's like, no, we're actually going to release you. Like that makes no sense. So whatever. I played that entire year. We played the Detroit Lions. They had me in a position that I shouldn't be in. Any football experts go watch the tape. You'd be like, this is not how you should do it. Ended up getting released 2 weeks later. And that was the end of my career.
That was the last game you ever played.
against Detroit Lions in Detroit. It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy just being from Detroit. That was baby shower. Yeah.
But like, it's crazy because how did I not get signed after that? Like, I started multiple games. I started versus the Chargers. I started versus the Bears. I started.
Do you think that
Steelers.
NFL teams, which also in the middle of a football season, if you get released, I will say it is hard to find your way onto a team just because teams are so in the thick of it. Like every team has their Isaac that might be on their practice squad or like,
but
every team has that flow.
For sure. But if a guy gets released like me and I like, you're adding value because what happens is at the end of the season, people are going into playoffs. They don't need guys that are year 1, year 2. You need guys that are battle tested who have started games if it gets bad. I couldn't believe I didn't get signed. It was actually mind-blowing. Well, and the Raiders had just switched coaches. So their head coach that I had got fired. They hired Antonio Pierce, and
They booted.
he came in, and I went out.
And you guys all know everything that happened. Like when Isaac got released, we came out with the whole episode. Isaac got released. We ended up moving back to California.
You gave birth.
And this is just saying this as like your wife. If somebody told me that would have been your last game playing in the NFL, I wouldn't have believed them because of your career up to that point.
Yes. However, when I didn't get signed.
All off season?
No. When I didn't get signed the rest of that year, I was like, Because here's what happens. Like, now it's like, okay, the last game you played was in November.
Yeah.
So then you're going from November all the way until August. That's almost a full year of no football.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, when you start doing the math, you're like, and then I didn't get signed training camp. It's like, and I texted Allie. I was up, couldn't sleep one night. It was like 3 a.m. I had Scotty doing middle of the night contact. And I texted her and I was like, why? I just want to retire. This was like August. This was training camp. I was like, this is dumb. But for us, we were just kind of like, all right, let's just have fun with it.
Yeah.
There's no point in retiring. What happens if I get a call in October?
So let's talk about the retirement piece. This entire off season, it's dry.
Super dry.
First time we had really started talking about retirement. Like
I got no calls.
You heading into training camp, you kind of were like, I think I want to retire. And just like, it is so rare as an NFL player to go out on your own terms.
It's almost impossible.
And I'm sure there's maybe people that listen to this episode and there are haters and they're like, of course you're going to say like you wanted to retire like because you didn't play all year.
Which is true. It's literally, I don't have a choice. Like I'm not, like I didn't get calls. It's not like I was getting blown up and I'm like, I'm going to retire, which is why I wanted to retire at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. You wanted to go out on your own terms.
And I am glad you pushed me to do this, but you were like, you should wait, which is fine. Because now there's no question.
I think.
And I will say this is the first time in my life where.
Am I responsible for that? Yikes.
This is the first time in my life where it's like, if I got a call right now, I actually wouldn't go. Like if my agent was like.
That's really easy for you to say right now, Isaac.
No, but if my agent was like, hey, Jaguars want to sign you to futures deal, I'd be like, I'm done. I don't have interest in playing anymore, which is good. I feel really good about that.
Yeah. So you initially wanted to retire around training camp, and then I said, like, are you sure? Like, if later down the line, well, I just was like, the only reason that I feel like you felt pressure to retire was because of social media, because we have these social media platforms and because.
Yeah, but it's a legitimate job.
Totally. Yeah.
So there's strategy behind it. It's
no, I'm saying more specifically, whatever. So when you started like playing with the idea, I was like, it does nothing. It does not hurt anything except for like some of these things that you're able to like fully like dive into now that you are retired. I was like, it doesn't really hurt much if you wait a few more weeks. So then you thought you were going to retire around like week 10 or something. You're like, if I don't get a call by week 10, I'll retire. And then week 10 comes and goes. We're busy. We're literally traveling every single month. We're not even thinking about football at this point. I mean,
like forgot
thinking about it, but more specifically, like we're just traveling so much and we're doing a lot as a family and all of that. And And so then you were like, I want to retire before Christmas, but then it just didn't play out that way. Like,
It's really just a timing thing at that point. Like at that point, I was pretty much done. I would say around Thanksgiving. Like that's when I was like, all right, that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Still would have went somewhere. Again, this is like,
I think you would have went somewhere the entire like regular season. I think if you got a call for practice squad, I think you would have been like, let me just go. Like, this is my last time. I know it's my last time, so let me just go.
yeah.
But
Yeah, so now it's like on to the next thing, broadcasting. I'm gonna full send with broadcasting. I have some meetings about it. Hopefully they go well. They will go well, and it's just on to the next thing. I'm starting a vlogcast. I'm gonna call it a vlogcast because it's like a video podcast.
yeah.
But it's just time. Like I'm ready to deep dive into the next phase of my life, and like I don't know. I don't want to waste more time because here's what happens, and then we can kind of wrap this up. If I were to get a call, which I'm not. This is all very hypothetical. But if I were to get a call right now, hey, we want to sign you a futures deal. It sounds better than it is. When you hear it, it's like, oh my God, celebrate TikTok. We're going to Jacksonville. But then you get there and you're like, okay, I'm proving to maybe a personality that doesn't like me. And you waste time. You're wasting time. So it's time for me to do something else.
Yeah. And I feel like we talked so much in this episode and we didn't even touch on like the end of like your real decision, the retirement, all of that. How are we feeling? What's next? Which means I feel like we need another episode.
We need a part 2, which will weave in, like you said, the Q&A, and then we'll kind of go through. The Q&A will drive the combo, though. I think people ask really good questions.
Totally. So if you guys are listening to this episode, you can go over to the Sunday Sports Club podcast Instagram, and there's going to be a question box on the stories, and you can write in your question of like what's next. You can ask any question in terms of retirement and what's next, because I feel like the NFL is like it's an emotional chapter to close just because of so much good, and like we grew our family in the NFL. We got married, engaged, moved in together, like all of this. So when people say like I was never part of an NFL team, I for sure fucking felt like I was. Like it's so crazy.
You were a huge part of it.
And I'm so grateful for everything the NFL has given you, but also me in terms of opportunity. Like I have this platform because of the NFL and because of everything that like you and I have built. So I have nothing but gratitude, and like I love the NFL. I still love working with them, and we're not going anywhere. I mean, we're going to be around the NFL for a very long time in terms of broadcasting, on the field, reporting, all of it. So, and also this podcast. So it's crazy.
Are you planning on staying with me? Like,
I always said I would leave you for somebody still actively in the NFL. I don't know.
Play
your cards right.
You started your career as a gold digger, so
you're still gonna be on TV, right? Like broadcasting, like you're gonna make money. But
no, this is good though. I appreciate you guys listening.
Well, hold on. I have to ask this last question. How do you feel about your career in the NFL?
I feel super confident about the career I had. I maximized every single bit of it. There's not a piece of my career that I look back and I'm like, dang, I could have done a little bit more there. Like I feel really good about it. I left it all on the field, as they say. Yeah. And I had a really fun career. Like I feel good. Like,
I am so fucking proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you because I feel like any of these situations when you got cut, you could have just gone into the facility and moped around. Every time you were on practice squad in a game, you could have just like been like, nah, if they're sleeping on me, I'm not going to play good. Like, which would have been biting yourself in the ass. But right. I am proud of you because I feel like no matter what, you would come to me and like complain or be stressed or anxious or whatever. But like every time you went into a game or facility, I do feel like you made the most of it. And I feel like you put everything into it that you had.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So I am really proud of you.
I appreciate it. And I feel good about, like, I think I left a lasting impression on teammates and coaches. Like, I think, like, I have teammates that look back and they're like, dang, Ike was like, that was my alter ego. Everybody in the NFL called me Ike. They're like, man, Ike was like a good dude. Like, he was a really good teammate. Like, I know that people said that.
And it's crazy because I have to say this. I have to say this before we end. I feel like we changed the NFL. Like, I do feel like that.
I feel like, well, I can say it. I feel like you made a huge impact on the NFL. Like, I feel like you normalized it went from like wag, like you're a wag, like this is crazy, wags to riches, like the show, to like,
More
oh
normal.
no, she's like one of us.
Yeah.
She's like one of the gals.
Anyways, we'll kind of touch on that more in the next episode. Next week is Super Bowl Sunday, so a lot
What
of
is your prediction, real quick?
Chiefs are going to win.
Yes.
Some really cool things happening around the Super Bowl, so be excited for next Sunday's episode. And then in 2 Sundays, we'll come back with part 2 for the retirement episode, and we'll talk all about our future and what is next, because I feel like we have some really exciting stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Isaac, 7th rounder, turned 7 years in the NFL. Super proud of you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday.
Appreciate it.